Between the burning sands of the Sahara and the green promise of the Savanna lies a land of transition. The Sahel, a narrow belt stretched across a vast continent where desert and life negotiate their fragile truce. In Mali, the wind whispers of emperors and scholars, of ink and gold, prayer and knowledge, as the Niger River bends like a lifeline through time, carrying the legacy of Timbuktu into the present. To the east, Niger rises from the Tenere Desert, a land shaped by endurance where the caravans of Agadez have crossed a sea of sand for 1,000 years, mapping survival through the impossible. And in Chad, the earth reaches for the sky in the Tibesti Mountains, a hidden fortress of stone and shadow, where oases bloom like secrets and ancient paths still pulse beneath the rock. Three nations, one heartbeat, a region of immense beauty and immense strain, where climate, conflict, and neglect have tested the limits of human resilience. Yet this is not only a story of hardship, it is a story of hope, and of those who chose to act when the world looked away. This is the story of the Sahel, and the story of a man who walked among its people, not to conquer, not to extract, but to plant seeds of life. Welcome to the Sahel and Al-Sumait. But beneath the horizon, the silence is heavy. For millions who live here, the beauty of the landscape is a cage. They call it the Triangle of Drought. Year by year, the Sahara marches south, swallowing the grazing lands of Mali, drying the ancient wells of Niger, baking the soil of Chad into stone. Here, water is not a right, it is a journey. In the remote villages of Niger, the day begins long before the sun. Mothers and daughters walk for miles, their footsteps tracing the same bristle paths their mothers walked before them, carrying the weight of survival on their backs, only to return with water the color of mud. In Chad, a different darkness falls, not from the night, but from disease, river blindness, cataracts, a slow curtain drawn across the eyes of elders, and even children. A tragedy not because it is incurable, but because the cure is simple and absent. And in Mali, there is a hunger deeper than famine, the hunger for knowledge. Whole generations growing up in the void. No classrooms, no books, only dust and silence, where possibility should be. Poverty, disease, ignorance, a triad of suffering that money alone could not fix. Checks signed in distant capitals do not dig wells in the Tenere. Aid dropped from the sky does not restore sight in the mountains. This land did not just need resources, it needed presence. It needed a witness. It needed someone to come and stay. In the sterile, air-conditioned quarters of a Kuwaiti hospital, Abdul Rahman Al-Sumait had everything a man is told to want: comfort, prestige, safety. Yet he was haunted by a reality he could not see, only feel. He came to understand that his skills were extending lives already surrounded by ease, while elsewhere, lives were ending before they had even begun. And so, he made a choice that defied logic. He traded the stethoscope of a consultant for the walking stick of a traveler, left the comfort of the Gulf for the unknown dust of the Sahel. When he arrived, he saw how the world usually helped. Aid managed from capital city hotels, suffering visited by day, and escape by night. Al-Sumait understood something simple and uncomfortable. Charity from a distance is only a transaction. To truly heal, you must be close enough to feel the pain. So he went where the roads ended, deep into the bush of Chad, to the forgotten edges of Niger, places absent from maps, but heavy with human lives. He did not build fences. He built bonds. He refused special treatment. When the villagers ate sorghum, he ate sorghum. When they slept on hard earth, he slept beside them. When the mosquitoes came, they came for him too. He did not stand above them as a savior. He sat among them as a man. And in the eyes of people the world had long forgotten, he became something more than a doctor. He became a brother. Sympathy is a feeling, but help is an action. Abdul Rahman Al-Sumait often repeated a simple truth: the best charity is water. And in the Sahel, water is not just a drink, it is a resurrection. When the drilling rigs arrived in villages dry for generations, the air would fall silent, thick with anticipation. Then, the drill would strike the aquifer, a surge of clear, cool water bursting from the red earth, children laughing, elders weeping. In that instant, a village standing on the edge of extinction was handed a future. But Al-Sumait brought more than water. He brought light. In the dust-filled tents of the eye camps, quiet miracles unfolded every day. For 10, 20 years, a grandmother might have lived behind the veil of cataracts, unable to work, unable to see the faces of those she loved. A simple surgery, a few minutes of practiced hands, and then the bandage is removed. Light floods in. A face comes into focus. A grandchild she has held for years, finally seen. The body healed. But Al-Sumait knew the mind must be nourished too. He did not just build walls, he built futures. Under the shade of acacia trees, and later within brick classrooms, orphans lifted pens for the first time. Children once defined by what they lacked began to define themselves by what they could become. Doctors, engineers, teachers. And from the long silence of the desert, a new voice began to rise. Looking at the smiling faces of children, it is easy to forget that this path was paved with pain. We see the victory, we do not see the cost. For Abdul Rahman Al-Sumait, the cost was everything he had. This was not charity managed from behind glass. This was a life lived in mud, in heat, in places where help does not belong. He waded through swamps, waist-deep in black water, to reach a single forgotten village. He slept in forests where silence belonged to predators. He spoke of cobras coiled in his bedding. He crossed rivers alive with crocodiles, armed with nothing but conviction. Malaria struck him again and again, fire in his blood. Still, he would not turn back. And then, there were the dangers of men. He was hunted, threatened, twice imprisoned. His freedom taken by those who feared what they could not control. Yet he never spoke of hatred, only of work still unfinished. Time eventually made its demand. Diabetes, high blood pressure, a failing heart. Doctors begged him, "Go home, rest, you have done enough." But for a man who had seen the suffering of millions, enough was not a word that existed. He stopped only when his body stopped him. In 2013, the inevitable arrived. The heart that had beaten for an entire region fell silent. The news traveled from Kuwait to the most remote villages of the Sahel. A father was lost. But this story did not end in a grave. A true legacy is not a monument. It is a movement. Al-Sumait did not build something that depended on him. He built something that could outlive him. Today, the work continues. Universities expand, hospitals heal. Water still rises from the earth. He showed the world that one person, with a singular purpose, can alter the destiny of millions. The traveler has finally come to rest, but the path he cut through the wilderness remains open for us all. In the end, the Sahel teaches us something simple and something uncomfortable. That change does not always arrive with noise. Sometimes it comes as a hand extended, a well dug, a bandage removed, a child taught to write their own name. Acts of kindness do not just ease suffering, they alter the direction of lives, quietly, permanently. What was planted here did more than restore water or sight. It restored dignity. And dignity, once returned, does not disappear. As we leave the Sahel, we carry its lesson with us, that the measure of humanity is not power, but presence. Next, we travel north, to France, to a chapter written not in sand, but in shame. A story of women punished, humiliated, and erased for choices the world judged in the aftermath of war. It is a story history prefers to whisper, which is exactly why we will listen. Until then, stay curious, stay cautious, and remember the Sahel, a place the world forgot until someone chose not to.